Oh, just finishing up a snack here. I get asked frequently about why do I use food for training when I have dogs who have really good motivation for a toy. And the reason why I use food, especially in the beginning, is because food allows me to have quicker, more frequent repetitions. The dog is not overly aroused or overly stimulated for the toy, so it creates more mental flexibility to learn and to problem solve. So by having dogs who have that ability to learn quickly in the beginning gives me more value. Now, don't get me wrong, every session, no matter what, ends with a toy. So despite the dog having food, they will also end the session with a toy, the high value reward item. But that food, especially early on, allows me to have a dog who's able to get those repetitions in and have clarity when they're learning. Now, the second part would typically be people will say, well, if I have a dog who's trained on food, they're probably going to alert to food. That's not always going to be the case. That's the same argument you can make for a toy. You have to evolve your training. Your training should include toy or food as proofing or distracting items depending on what you're doing. So no matter what you use as a reinforcer, you also have to proof that reinforcer in your training. So don't be afraid to use toy and don't be afraid to use food depending on what camp you're in. Having the option to do both is great. If you choose one or the other, that's fine too. I just get asked, why do we use food? And that's why we use food. I want that clarity of mind. I don't want the over arousal or overstimulation from the toy in those early reps. And I still get to use my toy as my last rep, which allows the dog to get the max reward in that session. There'll be some videos coming up that shows how we start dogs, and you will see where we're using food in those reps, but each session always ends with that toy. So I hope that answers that question, and looking forward to some more questions coming up and some more videos coming out. And I'll cover one more thing about the food. I use the food in the beginning, and then once the dog understands the odor, I've imprinted the odor, we utilize the toy. The toy is the primary reward item that I'm going to use, or I should say the main reward item I'm going to use. Now, I will also use other toys that I know have value but may not be as high value as whatever that dog's favorite toy is. I encourage all of you guys to find out what is your dog's highest motivator. Utilize that, but also utilize variable reward training where you can interject other toys or other items of value to the dog, but may not always be the highest value. That dog not knowing when that high value reward's coming will work harder. That's science, that's dopamine and things like that. So I encourage you to utilize whatever works best for your dog. And like I said, I use food in the beginning, transition to toy, whatever the highest value toy is, and then I use variable reward schedule to interject other toys in there that may have value but not as high as their favorite one. That always gets more work out of my dog and helps me have a better dog in detection. So I hope that helps.